Let's go to the last game that we really care about. That is Patriots 24, Falcons 23. The Patriots just once again able to win a game here. They're lucky that the Falcons kicker missed an extra point, and that was able to be the difference in the game. But we did learn about their backfield rotation. We learned a couple things, actually. We learned about their backfield rotation in terms of the rookies with no Ramondre Stevenson. Pretty even split in terms of the overall work for this team. TreVeyon Henderson, though, played more snaps, 75%. 14 carries for him, 11 for Terrell Jennings, who was the short yardage back. He got the look inside the 5-yard line. But TreVeyon Henderson was the commanding leader in terms of routes, 73%, route participation in this game. So going forward, we know that will be his role if Stevenson continues to miss time.
Yeah, and pretty efficient on the ground as well. 57.1% rushing success rate, so a solid outing. The hope would just going to be that we would see him once they got inside the 20 and inside the 10. But since Terrell Jennings, I believe he either had an explosive or like a fairly long run to get them there.
Yeah,
I'm pretty sure that's why Vrabel allowed him to just take the goal line plunge in afterwards. So that's my anxiety of trying to roster a guy like TreVeyon Henderson where you do have this committee, because we don't know if Ramondre Stevenson is going to miss even more time. And then also in week 10, they wind up playing the Tampa Bay Bucks, who are just coming off of their bye. And their strength is in run defense. So outside of Henderson as a pass catcher, I'm not really seeing the upside for him, even trying to think about him as a low-end RB2, high-end RB3 for week 10. It's just a tough outlook for him.
No, that's a really good point, and we'll continue to kind of track that. Of course, if Ramondre Stevenson is going to miss time, or if they trade for a back at the deadline. Drake May throws an interception here. Drake May throws an interception here, and yet he still becomes the fourth quarterback in NFL history, according to NFL Pro, to record 200-plus passing yards and a 100-plus passer rating in 8 consecutive games within a season. So he just continues to get it done, even if there's that one mistake here. Can't throw that interception, but it happens. We did learn something in the receiving rotation as well, even though nobody had like a monster game here. Kayshon Boutte went down with a hamstring injury after just 12 routes, and it was rookie Kyle Williams who took his snaps. Kyle Williams didn't record a catch or anything like that in this game. Still looks like there's some chemistry and timing issues between May and Kyle Williams, which you would expect. Kyle Williams has probably barely practiced with Drake May at all, but it wasn't like, Pop Douglas got a promotion. Pop Douglas remained in his slot role. He made some plays, had a nice game, which shout out to him. I believe he said his uncle was shot and killed, I believe like last night, he said after the game. And then, so he was really emotional to come. Yeah, he was really emotional to come out. And I think I want to say it was Cam Wolf. I'll go back and find it here as we're talking, but I think it was Cam Wolf that had the interview with him afterwards. I'll find it, make sure I get the credit right there. But so like shout out to Pop Douglas, who had a really nice game here, but he did not have like a role promotional 100 yards for him, but it was Kyle Williams that kind of took up that perimeter receiving option with Kayshon Boutte out in this game.
And I think this is the song that we've been singing about the Patriots pass catching group for the entirety of the season, where, we want to trust Hunter Henry and he'll pop up for a touchdown, but then the week after that, it'll just be 1 to 2 targets. Yes, of course, we want to trust Stephon Diggs because of his route running ability, but he hadn't been ramped up to a full-time player until, where was that? Like week 4, week 5. And so even that's been tough to trust on a week in and week out basis. So I believe in this game, you have it up right here about the number of pass catchers that were involved for Drake May. He had 10 different players that he targeted at least once. So if we're thinking about this moving forward from a fantasy standpoint, who is really outside of maybe Diggs and Hunter Henry that you're really itching to get into your lineup? Because Demario Douglas, to your point, yes, he might work in for 4 to 5 targets, but it's really on those explosive plays that he winds up creating a lot of that production. So it's really just Diggs and Henry for me. All these other guys are essentially role players in the sense that, yes, they're helping Drake May get to really ascend to the heights that he's getting to this point, but I'm not really looking to try and have those guys in my lineup from a week out standpoint, at least not at this point.
Yeah, I think that's right. And I'm interested to track Kyle Williams. He's not somebody we're picking up right now, but a potential second half of the season rookie if he continues to get more work, and when Kayshon Boutte's back, maybe he can step into Mac Hollins' role. But yeah, right now it's Henry, it's Diggs, and everybody else is kind of a rotational player. We did show that as well, that it was Cam Wolf with the report here that Pop Douglas's uncle was shot and killed last night, and he turns around this morning and has his best NFL game with 100 yards and a touchdown. So really what a moment for Pop Douglas. Obviously thoughts go out to him and his family as well. Let's get to the Falcons side of things here. They lose this game again because their kicker, Parker Romo, misses the damn extra point, and just very Falcons of them. Despite, I think, Michael Penix having like a nice second half to get them close here after it was a little bit farther out. Bijan Robinson, another slow day on the ground. It was a bad matchup. We talked about that. This Patriots run defense has been really good all year. Their investments up front have really paid off. Also, the Falcons had some injuries at guard in this game, so that's something to track throughout the course of the week. But he did save it from a fantasy standpoint, Chris, with 8 for 50 as a receiver on 10 targets. The Falcons just put on a freaking show, dude, in terms of just throw it to your good players. Bijan Robinson, 10 targets, and Drake London, 14 targets in this game. We talked about him a little bit earlier, but after week 9 now, Chris, this is something I brought up with Ray earlier this week. Michael Penix now has 5 of his 10 starts with an adjusted yards per attempt over 7.0. Drake London's target totals in those games after today's 7.59, 18, 16, 15, 10, and 14 in today's game. So you can tell me if I'm stupid about this, but it just seems to me that when the Falcons offense is good, they throw the ball to Drake London. When the offense struggles is these games where they're like, oh, let's get Darnell Mooney in the mix and like, let's throw the ball to Drake London 4 times. I know that's oversimplifying it, but damn, it feels like that's kind of a trend at this point.
Yeah, exactly. And they probably wanted to put a show on for Cardi B because she was in the box, like hanging out with Robert Kraft during the game. So they wanted to at least, give Stephon Diggs a little bit of pressure, which I can understand.
That's right.
But still, for this game, I think the one switch up that I did see for Michael Penix was how quickly he got the ball out of his hands. Average 2.67 average time to throw, and they were all to Drake London. Pretty much 9 of his 10 targets were when he was trying to get the ball out as quickly as possible. So it feels to me like they came into this game where this is the concept, this is the read, execute. And Penix did it, and of course Drake London performed really well. But to your point, it has really condensed around these 3 guys. It's Michael Penix, it's Bijan Robinson with how he's being used in the passing game, and of course Kyle Pitts still performing well from a tight end standpoint. So while over the offseason I was really looking at Darnell Mooney as a potential deep speed option for them and trying to see if he could be essentially the team's wide receiver too, with how that offensive line has been working and how Michael Penix has been at least trying to operate behind that offensive line as well, I'd really see him as more of a role player, ancillary option, and really it's condensed around those 3 guys from a fantasy standpoint.
Yeah, Drake London, 77 targets on the season, despite the fact that he's already had his bye. He's missed a game with an injury. So it's just like, yeah, that was kind of the thesis of Drake London this year, is that he was going to consolidate the power. Hopefully that continues to happen going forward. All right, that does it for the games we care most about. Now let's get into the games that we sort of care about, starting with a shocking upset in Green Bay. Panthers 16, Packers 13. I think we start with the Panthers here, and where else could we go but Rico Dowdle takes over this backfield, Chris. I will admit that we knew it was coming, right, in terms of he was going to get that promotion. He was going to be the starting back. Dave Canales essentially said that. They talked about Chuba Hubbard in these very kind of like past tense terms. But I will admit that I did not see this coming in terms of just how much of a lead he had over Chuba Hubbard. 83.3% of the running back rushes, 84% of the touches overall, 74% of the snaps. He touched the ball 27 times. Chuba Hubbard touched the ball 5 times. So is seeing this performance in a tough matchup, by the way, enough for you to say like, hey, Rico Dowdle is the guy here, and he is a running back 1 rest of season?
Oh, 100%. And it's not just the results. I mean, of course, 48% rushing success rate and also hitting a few explosives as well. It's not just the fact that he was able to put on this performance against this Packers defense that had been fairly stingy to opposing running backs. But if you also look at Bryce Young's performance in this matchup, they're not winning this game without Rico Dowdle doing what he did. I mean, Bryce Young essentially looks like that guy that's like a part of the group project, but he didn't really contribute all that much to it because Rico Dowdle was the one that put them in all of the situations to do it. Because look at it. All of us were starting Tedero McMillan thinking he was going to be the wide receiver that while it was going to be tough facing the Packers secondary, if Bryce Young could do anything, he was going to benefit from it. didn't really get much out of him. It's because of Rico Dowdle's performance that they were even in this game and how they were able to pull off this upset. So yeah, I would say that Canales has to look at Rico Dowdle as the true RB1 for this. None of this split backfield that we'd seen for a few weeks after Hubbard came back. It should be Rico Dowdle's backfield moving forward for sure.
It's worth noting for the performance of Bryce Young and Rico Dowdle for just how good this was. The Panthers are still super banged up and kind of like cycling starters in and out on this offensive line. So there's a chance that this rushing, I don't know how much, it could be much better than the stats we're showing right now in terms of what he's done in the 3 games where he's really been the starter and been the guy. I don't really know how it could be much better than that, but I do think that the passing game could get a little better if this offensive line can get healthier. So that's something that we will continue to track. Obviously, tough matchup against the Green Bay Packers. That was a mismatch overall, that Panthers passing game versus the Packers defense. But I think this team's going to just try to just lead the NFL in rush attempts, like put the ball in Rico Dowdle's hands over and over again. And Chris, it's still, like I said it at the time, this is not hindsight. It still freaking stuns me that this guy got as little interest as he did in free agency. He signed a sub $3 million 1-year deal with this team to be the backup running back. Obviously, it's worked out for the Cowboys getting Javonte Williams in there, so I'm not like slamming them for letting Rico walk, but everybody else had a chance to sign Rico Dowdle. I didn't see him being this good, but still, he's been he's been excellent with this team, and I think you could have seen him being a value signing at this position coming.
Oh, 100%. And that's where I do wonder what was the thought process for other teams that wound up passing on him, because you see other running games that are struggling at this point where he was available on the market for at least this minimum signing for the Panthers. And I would say even the Panthers, I don't know how much they knew or how well Rico Dowdle could perform behind this backfield, because until Chuba Hubbard got hurt, it really was just the Chuba Hubbard show like we had seen throughout most of the 2024 season before Jonathan Brooks went down. So it's like, I'm not really concerned about the passing game, or not concerned about the rushing game just for how well that he's performed. But I think really to your point earlier, it's the offensive line injuries. They did try and shift some of the protection mitigate some of that by using a couple more tight ends on the field today. I think they had 2 tight ends on the field for about 30% of their plays, somewhere in there. So maybe that will help to produce or keep Bryce Young upright, and then also provide a few more rushing lanes for Rico Dowdle. But yeah, the hope would be that they get healthy, the passing game gets healthy, and of course Dowdle continues to do what he does on the ground and keep this Panthers offense moving.
Let's talk Packers here. Big loss for them in this game, and the losses continued to pile up after the game. According to Ian Rappaport, the fear, oh my God, I don't even want to say this out loud. I've been dreading saying it out loud ever since it happened. The fear heading into the MRI for Tucker Kraft is that he tore his ACL in this game. He got run up on by one of his own teammates. It happens, and yeah, it looks like he tore his ACL. His season will likely be over. Matthew Golden also left this game with a shoulder injury, but losing Tucker Kraft after that monster performance last week, he was the tight end 1 overall in fantasy. It sucks. I'm upset about it. Tucker Kraft was like one of the flag carriers, players of this podcast, and now his season is likely over, Chris.
Yeah, and he does those things that it's the George Kittle stuff that happens after the catch that we will look at the numbers and say, do I have a filter on incorrectly? Because there's no reason how somebody can be averaging 11 to 12 yards after the catch. I can understand per catch, but 12 yards after the catch, that doesn't make any sense. I probably have something messed up on how I'm setting up this study or whatever. So it's always fun watching those players that can really defy or challenge what we see from a number standpoint, and Kraft is definitely one of them. So yeah, losing him, and also essentially him being one of those short to intermediate options for Jordan Love, especially with Jaden Reed still out, that's really where we're going to see a lot of stress put onto this Packers offense, where, I mean, really, I have some concerns about Matt LaFleur, not as a play designer, but as a play caller, especially in this game. A lot of those calls really start to rear its ugly head. So I do think they're going to be better days ahead for the Packers, even with the loss of Tucker Kraft, because they still have enough talent around Jordan Love. But this is one of those where they needed to take this game handily, and they just couldn't do it.
I think that is a really good distinction about LaFleur, because I think as a play designer, he is one of the 2 or 3 best in the league, but there are times where it's like a second and long run. It's an overcommitment to the ground game. It's playing a little bit conservative that I think he has put this team in a bit of a bind at times. At the same time, though, you lose Tucker Kraft. Like, he is the straw that stirs the drink here. It's just like these receivers are solid. I mean, Romeo Doubs leads the way with 92% of the routes and was productive in this game. And I think Doubs has really taken a step forward as a player this year. But you just lose your one explosive element when Kraft is not out there, because Doubs, again, good player, but he's kind of a possession type player, not a huge big play threat. And Christian Watson runs around on 79% of the dropbacks, which is a miracle, but he's good for like one shot play a game, not a consistent, like we put the ball in his hands and he makes us right. So we'll see if with the Packers going forward, they have to like recover a little bit of momentum after losing a guy that has been clearly their best player in the passing game so far this year.